Big stinker is this right here.
If anybody watching this has actually used a solar power bank before, tell me if you've had a good experience with the actual solar charging on one of these. I'd like to know. I'm very curious about that.
Do not buy a Goodaaa Solar Power Bank until you watch this video. This thing has a lot of interesting features. Today we're going to check all those features out, and feature number 5 will shock you. You pick these Goodaaa Solar Power Banks up on Amazon for around 35 to 40 bucks. You'll find an Amazon link in the description of this video and also one of the comments. Let's take a look. So what you see here is everything that comes in the box. You got some instructions, you got a power cord, and you've got a little thing so you can hang this in different places. And I think that goes on here. First thing we see on here is we have a thermostat, and it is in Fahrenheit. A lot of these types of chargers have a compass on it. This one's kind of cool because it has a thermometer on it. And I can tell you, it's pretty accurate because it is somewhere right below 70 degrees in this room right now. So that's pretty accurate.
Right here you can see the part number and some specs on here. It tells you about the battery capacity.
So let's check this thing out. What are these cords? The instructions tell us that these are two USB-C output cables, and this is a lightning output cable right here. Okay, down here we have some more stuff going on. Instructions say that this is a USB output port. It says this is a USB-C input output port, and that this is a lightning output port. Right here we have a flashlight, and it says this is an infrared laser light. And right here on the side, this is a USB input cable. And I've actually already charged this thing up right now with this USB input cable. Of course, we're going to drain the battery and see how well solar charges. And of course, you can see the solar panels on here. I think this thing's fully charged right now because I charged it for about 24 hours and I have not used it.
And here's the flashlight feature in this pitch black room. So, see, that's the flashlight. Got him here on Spider-Man. And it's got this mode here. And flashing. A laser pointer. And that's a pretty strong laser pointer. I'm just going to pluck off one of these C connectors here, and I'm going to shove it in this iPhone Pro Max, and you're going to see that it's going to just take off charging. And there it goes. It is charging now. And I want to say it charged this phone pretty good. I think it took it probably about 2 hours to charge this phone completely, maybe a little longer. So it's not super fast, but it's not slow either. So it does a pretty good job charging that phone. And there it is. Right here I've got several items charging because I wanted to show the capability of charging multiple items. And you can see I've got a microphone, a couple of microphones, a phone, and a flashlight. LED nice flashlight charging all at the same time. And it did a great job. It charged all these items. So there's that. And right here, this is how you charge this thing up. This is the way I like to charge it up, and it's the quickest way. And you just plug it into the USB plug there. And I just left this thing charging all night. I think it gets a complete charge maybe in about 4 hours. But you can see here, I just leave them in all night long, and it charges this thing up really good. I charged a lot on this thing, and from the best of my ability, I'd say this could probably charge my phone up maybe about 4 or 5 times. I think that's pretty good. It's a pretty big power bank, seems to hold a lot of charge. I left this out in the sunlight all day long, and items that normally would have charged completely, this thing did not charge. So a lot of things I have that are solar would have charged completely. This thing didn't charge at all. I could tell it was attempting to charge. The little light was coming on showing that it was like attempting to get a charge, but it just never did. I reached out to the company and asked them, I said, is there something wrong with this? And they said they didn't think so. They said that this thing actually has to be in some really good direct sunlight for a long period of time for it to charge. And they suspected that the sunlight that it was on this wasn't good enough and that it didn't charge long enough. Well, it was all day. Most stuff I use that is solar would have charged up really good in the time frame that this thing should have charged in, and it didn't. So there's that. So the solar capability on this isn't that great unless you live maybe in a super sunny area. It didn't really work for me that well.
We checked this thing out. I showed you the features. I showed the good and the bad. Big stinker is this right here. Solar charging part on this thing right here. And it reminds me of this little stinker right here I bought on Temu. It's really not that much different. I could not get this thing to charge solar-wise. I had it out in the sunlight, and I had it in the house underneath some really bright lights in my kitchen for a long period of time. This thing did not charge. If it did charge, maybe it was just a very little bit. So on both of these, I can't really tell much of a solar function at all. But the big plus, this Goodaaa Solar Power Bank, I should just say power bank. For me, that's all it's going to be, is just a power bank. Now, I'm not going to be doing solar with this. I'd love to, but it just doesn't seem to do that. Okay, the big thing for me with this baby is, maybe if you left this thing outside for a week in the sunlight, maybe it'll charge. I don't know, but I don't have that much time. I left it out in the sun all day and it did not charge. Okay, so that's the bad. That's real bad because this thing's based all on solar. But there's some really good to this too, and I'm going to tell you what that is right now. The good to this is you can charge multiple items at once, a bunch of items at once. So you can charge actually like 4 or 5 items at once. Use these, and then you can use 2 of these back here, right? I think it's 2 of those. I could be wrong. Anyway, so you can charge a lot of stuff. This thing looks like it is durable. It looks like it's made to be outside. It's got a seal on here, so I would trust this thing in the elements. You know, I don't know how long any kind of metal is going to last getting wet over and over, but I would trust this a little bit, you know, out in the elements. I mean, I'm not going to submerge it in water, but the thing is pretty durable and it feels pretty shock resistant. It's made, it's got some good rubber bumpers on here and stuff, and I think this thing would survive a few falls. It just seems like it would. It feels like it's made very solid. Another thing is the charge on this thing seems to last forever. Once you do charge this up, my suggestion is you charge it up by the USB cord. Once you charge this thing up, it seems to stay charged for a long time. So from what I can tell, and I'm not, you know, I didn't go too scientific on this thing, but from what I can tell, I could probably charge up a standard iPhone, like a modern iPhone, like a Pro Max on this. I think I've got the 16 Pro Max now. I'd say you can probably charge a modern cell phone on this thing probably about maybe 4 solid times, maybe more than that. I'm just going to say 4 solid times, maybe more than that, because I had several items charging on this at once and it was doing a good job, and I never did completely drain this. And I think they're just doing you a favor by making sure this battery always has just a little bit in it, because I was always able to turn the flashlight on for at least a little bit. It kicks off after a couple of seconds when this battery's dead, but it will continue to kick on. So that's kind of cool in an emergency. You know, if you're really stuck somewhere and this battery does die, at least you know you're going to get enough light so you can see things, you know, every now and again, or maybe signal somebody once you think this thing's dead. So that's a plus, right? So anyway, there is some good to this thing. Heck of a power bank, I'll give it that. It's got some really cool charging features. Heck, you've even got a thermometer on here so you can see how warm it is or how cold it is or whatever. So that is a cool feature, right? And like I said, it's durable. It's got a pretty nice laser pointer on it. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. The laser pointer, I don't think ever did stop working. So, and you just shut that off, you know, on and off by the clicks of the buttons over here. All the controls of this thing are right here in this one button, and all you're doing is pushing it different ways. The laser, hit it a couple times, comes on. Flashlight, just hold it down, it comes on, and then you hit it for different modes. So it's that simple. If you want a good, reliable power bank, I think this thing is worth buying, even though the solar seems to stink on here. It is a stinker because you want that solar to work, because that seems to be the gimmick of this thing. But other than that, as a power bank, it seems to be pretty solid and at a reasonable price. It's all about the solar. Do not get this thing. But if it's about just having a really good solid power bank that's going to charge you quite a few times, I think probably maybe 5 times, maybe 6 times, this is the one I'd get. It really worked out for me. If you have any questions about this Goodaaa Solar Power Bank slash utility tool, throw them down in the comments. I'll be happy to answer it. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. I thank you so much for tuning into Tony's Reviews today, and God bless you.